Hello and a very warm welcome to the launch of Flexibility Works. I'm Lisa Gallagher.
I'm Nikki Slowey.
And we are the very proud co-founders of Flexibility Works. Tackling inequalities and social issues is basically what I've spent most of my adult life doing. I completed a business course in Boston 7 years ago, and that gave me the confidence to say out loud that I wanted at one point to set up an organisation to drive social change. I actually met my husband David on that business course, and 5 years ago we had our first baby, wee Alfie. And that's the first time that I was personally looking for greater flexible working, more specifically a job share. And oh boy, did I have a sharp wake-up call as I ended up having to leave my position as a director with a third sector organisation, a job I loved, due to a lack of flexibility. But the more that I looked at this issue, I realised it wasn't just me. There was a complete lack of flexible working opportunities in general. Yet the more I researched, the more I discovered that the benefits of flexible working could be far-reaching, not only for people, but also for business, for Scotland. So I'd found one heck of an issue that made me feel so passionate and couldn't have been closer to my heart. But I didn't want to just talk about it. I wanted to drive change and help create a more flexible working culture in Scotland. And then I found Nikki, a brilliant, hard-working, creative and patient partner in crime, and someone equally passionate about creating more flexible working. Nikki was working for another organisation at the time, campaigning for more flexible working, and I applied for a job to join the team. And Nikki and I could not contain our passion and enthusiasm for the issue, and we had so much energy for change. We could see such a great opportunity for Scotland to become a leading flexible working nation. We knew we could make something great happen, and not just for mums like us, but for everyone in our society who wants and needs flexibility. Carers, people with a disability, people with long-term health conditions, people reaching retirement. In fact, 87% of people in the UK want flexible working. But it's not just people who benefit. There's a whole stack of evidence that proves that flexible working drives business performance too. So in April 2020, Flexibility Works was founded to support more employers to create flexible workplaces.
Like Lisa, I too struggled with a lack of flexibility earlier in my career, and I began to really question the impact that it must be having, not just in people's lives, but also surely it wasn't good for our wider society, economy. Over the last 6 years, I have had the privilege of working with employers in the space of flexible working. In that time, I have witnessed firsthand the positive impact that flexible working makes to business. I've seen organisations benefit from increased productivity, improved employee engagement and morale, simply by introducing flexible working. I've also seen organisations successfully use flexible working to recruit and retain employees and to build a more diverse, inclusive, happier and healthier workforce. For me, flexible working has a hugely positive impact for people, for business and for Scotland. I want my 3 boys to grow up in a fair and inclusive Scotland, and flexible working is part of achieving a healthy, vibrant and more equal society. I'm so grateful I met Lisa, kind, supportive and energetic, with a clear vision of how she wants the world to look. Together we move at pace, we give each other confidence to carry on the great fight for more flexible working. But we also have fun. Together and with our small but mighty team that includes our colleagues Geraldine Higgins and Caitlin Auld, who have worked so incredibly hard over the past 5 months to get us off the ground and up and running so successfully. In some ways it's hard to believe it's only been 5 months. What a time to launch a new venture. But of course nobody could have predicted how the world would look back in April. In a strange twist of fate, in many ways the pandemic has accelerated the conversation about flexible working. And this of course is not normal flexible working as we know it. What we have experienced is people being forced to adapt in a crisis, practically changing how we work overnight. But the silver lining is that barriers are coming down and mindsets are shifting. Even pre-COVID, the Monday to Friday 9 to 5 was becoming outdated. People wanted more control and autonomy over their working patterns, and progressive employers were cottoning on. And now, as we come through the pandemic, the message we're hearing from employers and employees is fairly consistent, that the future of work, pandemic aside, will look more flexible. It will be different, and there will be a big shift to more flexible working. So maybe this is our time. It's been a whirlwind 5 months, and we really do want to thank the Hunter Foundation and the Scottish Government for backing us as the world turned upside down, and for sharing our vision for a flexible working Scotland and believing in flexibility works, and for seeing the value it can have in improving people's lives.
We've also got a great board behind us too, who've been a rock, who give us inspiration despite any bumps on the road, and who have encouraged us to keep the wheels turning. Thank you to Jen Wright, Andy Watson and Liz Watson. The two Watsons, incidentally, are not related. And of course, the encouragement we've had from our friends, our family and supporters far and wide has spurred us on. Even for this launch event today, we've been given so much support and also sponsorship from 3 incredible organisations. So thank you to City Building, ILF Scotland and Shoesmiths. To all of you, we can promise we will work tirelessly to change the way we work in Scotland. Okay, so on to today. Well, maybe not as anyone would imagine their launch event to be, being based here in Nicky's wonderful garden as a two, but in all honesty, we've been running monthly business-to-business webinars online, and online really does have its advantages. No travel time, easier to combine with whatever else is going on in your life, and no fancy frocks required. So grab a cuppa or a glass of something nice and sit back and enjoy our great lineup of speakers. The chat function is well and truly open, so please use that to connect with one another and share your thoughts and comments, or even just to say hello and share what you're having for your dinner later on. And remember to please tweet us today. We would love you all to help us supercharge Flexibility Works tonight on Twitter. Our first speaker is Jamie Hepburn, MSP, Scottish Government Minister for Business, Fair Work and Skills. We talk about how flexible working works for people, for business and for Scotland, and we're delighted that the Minister has taken time out of his busy schedule to join our launch event and share his views. Welcome, Minister.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure for me to be with you today, albeit virtually, to help mark the launch of Flexibility Works, a new social business working on the ground to inspire and persuade Scottish employers on the real benefits of adopting flexible working practices. I've known the team behind Flexible Works for several years, and I've witnessed their passion and commitment for promoting flexible working in Scotland. I'm confident that strong understanding of the benefits and the challenges as well of adopting new working practices they bring in their tested success in engaging with employers will enable Flexible Works to set the pace of change for businesses and for people in Scotland. As you know, COVID-19 has accelerated the flexible working conversation as employers and workers have had to adapt to working from home. Home working is a vital part of our public health strategy and has been crucial in reducing the transmission of the virus amongst the general population. In July, we published guidance on home working to support employers to ensure that home working can be provided fairly, productively, and above all, of course, safely for both workers and business. The guidance was developed in collaboration with business organisations, unions and equality experts, including, of course, Flexibility Works, each of whom brought their expertise in this area to the fore. It's also become apparent that many workers and employers are keen to continue flexible working arrangements in the longer term and when the COVID-19 restrictions are over. A recent survey of Scottish employers by the Chartered Institute for Professional Development showed that 72% of them expected there to be increased demand for home working once the restrictions are lifted. I've no doubt that mindsets are shifting in flexible working and home working, and that these will be central components of the future workplace. Our programme for government, taking forward a recommendation from the Advisory Group on Economic Recovery, has committed to assessing the scope for establishing a centre for workplace transformation, and we will examine the impact that such a centre could make to business performance, innovation, fair work and worker well-being. Flexible working has always been key to enabling a more accessible and inclusive workplace and is a significant element in our ambition for Scotland to become a fair work nation. We need to embed fair work practices such as fulfilment, security, respect, effective voice and opportunity. It's more essential than ever that opportunities in the labour market are genuinely accessible to all and are supporting a diverse workforce. Flexible working assists this. It can especially support workers who have other commitments in their lives, particularly those related to caring for a loved one. But the benefits for business are also clear. It not only enables employers to reach a wider pool of underutilised talent, evidence has shown it raises loyalty, motivation, and productivity as workers experience an improved work-life balance. That's why, working in partnership with the Hunter Foundation, we are funding Flexibility Works to promote the development of flexible and family-friendly workplaces throughout Scotland. If more businesses in Scotland can harness the benefits of flexible working, they will in turn help to achieve wider goals, those of fairness and equality, and a stronger economy. These goals, we know, are deeply entwined with one another. So as we emerge from the pandemic, we have a real opportunity to become a leading flexible working nation and create a well-being economy in which all of us can prosper. I believe that Flexibility Works has a significant role to play in creating that future. Today, I send my congratulations and best wishes for their future success. Going forward, I'm excited to see what together we can achieve.
Many thanks, Minister. Over the years, we have shared many conversations with Mr. Hepburn, and again today, just hearing his vision for an inclusive economy in Scotland and the role of flexible working in achieving this is inspiring and encouraging. Thank you so very much for supporting us and for joining us for the launch event today from your garden. We've talked a lot about flexible working for people, and I don't think as an employer you can underestimate the difference even a small amount of flexibility makes to people's lives. Let's be honest, when you treat people like adults and you give them some control and autonomy along with trust, allow them to get the job done, what you get back in terms of commitment, discretionary effort is huge. So today we wanted you to meet some people for whom flexible working has made a really big change to their lives. So our very own roving reporter Geraldine Higgins chatted to 3 different people about the difference flexible working makes to their lives. First, she caught up with Lindsay Hanna, who is a telemarketer with the Glasgow firm Pursuit Marketing. Now, you might have heard of Pursuit Marketing as they often pop up in the media due to being one of Scotland's first businesses to adopt a 4-day working week. Yep, all of their employees have a Friday off and their pay was never reduced. So let's hear what Lindsay had to say.
Hi, Lindsay. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being with me today. So you work with Pursuit Marketing, a Glasgow-based business, and Pursuit have really been pioneers in the flexible working space. As a business, they started off with flexible working really as part of the DNA of the organisation from the beginning. So tell me about your role and what flexible working means for you.
So I'm one of the senior telemarketers at Pursuit Marketing. When I first started at the business, it was still quite early on in me learning about them, and a lot of the things that were being brought in for flexible working. So I've been there for almost 6 years now. And essentially I work on the phones all the time. So I'm constantly on the phone. I'm a carer for my 80-year-old mother who has had multiple strokes and is in a sheltered housing complex. Now, as time has gone on, her health has decreased, and what Pursuit have been able to do for myself with the flexible working is that we now work a 4-day week, so it's Monday to Thursday, Fridays off. Now, Friday has now become my Mother's Day, as it were. So I go to my mum in the morning, I do her weekly shopping, I do a bit of housework, but also I do all of her administration, her banking, taking care of any bills that come in, booking any appointments, hairdressers, chiropodists, all the usual things that you would get with an elderly person. And because of the attitude of Pursuit, it's just been absolutely mind-boggling to me, because I've never had it before, where a company, if you've got issues where, for instance, you need short-term notice for taking time off, they are so flexible they are so understanding with the situation with myself and my mother. I'm an only child, so I'm the only carer other than the health carers that go in. So at times it can be a lot to do, and they have been behind me 100%. As well as Fridays off, they'll let me take time off if, for instance, I'm called out to her because of maybe a health worry from the carers. And it's such a relief to work for a company that gives you that amount of flexibility so that you can work that into what you need to do. And it just takes so much weight off of your shoulders, not worrying that, oh God, I need to take time off for this, or I need to do this, because they are so flexible. If you ask for time off or something, they are so eager to help in any way they can. And as I say, it's a total weightlifter from your shoulders. And when you're looking after an elderly relative, it's a little bit different from sort of children, where they understand but they don't understand. So sometimes things like you wouldn't generally be doing a shopping for children, but something just as silly as my mother running out of milk or something like that, and we're not next to one another, which is one of the reasons it makes it so difficult. We're about 40 minutes apart. Having that flexibility at work for taking time off short term notice, or for a Fridays off where I can concentrate purely on my mum's needs and spending some time with her. But that also frees up time over the weekend for myself and my partner. So we've still got us time. And it just makes such a difference to your work-life balance.
It's a real well-being culture, that's clear from listening to you, and it's great to hear that flexibility is just literally embedded in the working culture of Pursuit as an organisation. So thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, Lindsay. That was great.
You're welcome. I'd just like to point out that the directors themselves are very keen on how staff are treated. They are very approachable. If you do have a personal issue where you do need time off, they are very approachable. You go to them and they will then feed that down to HR as well. So it is as you say, it is embedded in the culture from the directors all the way down. It is a truly amazing thing to have in your work life. Is that flexibility.
And that's so encouraging to hear. I think when the leaders of a business, the directors are working that way and giving everybody else permission to do the same, it has such a positive impact. So great to hear.
It does.
Thanks again, Lindsay.
Lovely. Geraldine, thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay, for sharing your story. What a massive difference flexible working makes for you and for your mum. And wow, how incredibly positive is Lindsay about her employer. I always say your people are your best or your worst PR agents. Caring for relatives is a key reason that many people need flexible working. But unfortunately, not everyone has such a flexible employer, and many carers end up leaving their jobs as a result. I guess this is why we do what we do, Lisa.
It sure is, Nikki. But we don't just talk a good game about flexible working being good for business. We see it in action in all types of organisations, big and small, public and private. But so you don't just take our word for it, we've been lucky enough to be joined today by Chris O'Shea, who is the CEO of Centrica, an international energy services and solutions company operating in the evolving energy market. Welcome, Chris.
It's been said that timing is everything. If that's true, the team at Flexibility Works have got a huge head start. Starting an organisation focused on flexible working, just around the start of what is the world's biggest experiment in how to work flexibly, is brilliant timing. I know Flexibility Works is a new organisation, and I'm really honoured to be asked to speak at the launch event. But the reality is that Nikki and Lisa have been working in this space for many years. The whole team brings a huge amount of experience to the space of flexible working. Flexibility Works is looking at how this can benefit people, business, and Scotland. I want to take a bit of time to talk to you about what flexible working means to me personally and for us at Centrica, and how we think about it and how we plan to improve our flexible working options as we go forward, and why. Why does it make sense? So dealing with the last point first, for me, providing colleagues with maximum flexibility is the right thing to do. It's the human thing to do, but it also makes great business sense. The more flexible you can be, the more attractive you can be to employees. You can retain your existing colleagues, but the reality is if you can be more flexible than your competition, you might be able to access a whole section of the workforce that otherwise wouldn't be there. So you may not be competing for those people. You may be the only employer that can give certain people what they need if you can give maximum flexibility. So as well as it being the right thing to do from a personal point of view, it's also good business sense. I've never personally really cared where people do their job. I've only cared that they work well and they manage their work and their life balance. Family is far more important than work. I've always thought that. And you've really got, as a responsible employer, you've got a duty to make sure that you make your colleagues' lives as easy as possible. What we found during the COVID lockdown is quite incredible. So just at the start, I was a bit nervous about the ability of some of our people to work from home. I didn't know if our systems could cope with it. 1 week into lockdown, we had 15,000 people working remotely across the globe. 15,000. That included our customer service agents. We never thought before that they could work from home. The people that take phone calls, the people that take customer calls. And we've found all they need is a computer, a good broadband connection and their headset. And then they can work as if they were in the office. Now we've learned a few things. So people that work in your call centre don't tend to have company provided laptops. And working on their own personal computers, they're still able to do that. We moved all of our IT into the cloud last year, so I'm very glad that we did that. That's an almost essential part of being able to work flexibly for office-based staff. But we found that working off their own personal computers wasn't the best thing. So we've ordered 1,500 laptops to give to our customer service agents so that they can work at home as if they were in the office. The really exciting thing is the options that this gives us for the future. So at the moment we run our call centres Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. We don't run multiple shifts. But I think our customers want to contact us outside the hours of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So having the ability to have our customer service agents working from home means that they can work split shifts, for example, can work very early in the morning, maybe deal with caring responsibilities, then maybe late morning into the afternoon, maybe some want to work in the evening. So it gives us the ability to actually serve our customers better. And it gives us the ability to allow our colleagues to shape their working hours. So again, it's good because it's the right thing to do for people, and it's good because it's the right thing to do for customers. And the more we can give colleagues what they're looking for, the happier they'll be. And I think business is very simple, especially for a consumer-facing business. Happy colleagues makes for happy customers, and that makes for happy shareholders. So this is all linked. This is the right thing to do. It's something that we're learning as we go. We have taken the decision in Centrica not to reopen the majority of our offices before the new year. And the reason is that we have, during this large experiment, we've learned how people can work from home. And what we haven't really seen is the productivity for parents, for example, that have school-aged children, because the children have been at home. So what we want to see is, with the children back at school, how does that productivity improve? But it's not just about parents of school-aged children. We've partnered with Carers UK in Centrica, and that's our charity partner. And we're very supportive of those with caring responsibilities. So it can be parents with children, it can be colleagues who have caring responsibilities for disabled relatives or friends, or elderly relatives or friends. Whatever it is, the more we can do as a company and the more we can do collectively as business to give our colleagues maximum flexibility, the better quality of life our colleagues can have, the better service our customers can have as well. So I'm really excited to see how this is going to progress, the overall experiment of flexible working, but also working with Nikki, Lisa and the team at Flexibility Works. And whilst it's a new organisation, I've known Nikki for more years than she or I would care to remember. She's very talented and very determined. This will be a success, I've got no doubt. And we look forward to partnering with Flexibility Works in Centrica as this moves forward. So once again, thanks very much for the privilege of being able to speak at the launch event. And I'd like to wish you well, and I look forward to working with you as we go forward.
Thank you so much for joining us for our launch today, Chris, and for your honesty and also for your lovely words of support for Flexibility Works. And I have to say, that was a pretty compelling case. Flexible working equals happy colleagues, equals happy customers, equals happy shareholders. Simple. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. There is not one size fits all for flexible working. It needs to work for the person, the role, the team, and the organisation. But sometimes there are preconceived ideas that it simply won't work in certain sectors or for certain people. So everyone just continues working in the way they always have. And that's not to say it's the most productive way of working either. Sectors like construction, for example, are likely to be put into the box of flexible working is just too difficult. But it can be done. Geraldine spoke to Jason Pearson, who works for a large Glasgow construction and maintenance company, City Building. Let's hear what he had to say about flexible working.
Hi Jason, thanks so much for joining us for the launch today. So you work with City Building, and construction's kind of a sector where we maybe don't traditionally see a great deal of flexibility, but City Building have been working really hard to change that in recent years. So what can you tell me about your role and the flexibility you've got now?
Well, my flexibility for me personally, I've got quite a big family. I've got 5 kids, and the newest arrival was just on February this year. So manic, crazy in the house, and having a flex arrangement is ideal for me personally. I've had some previous experience with flexible working, albeit it was perhaps a bit more informal. But now I have quite a solid kind of 80-20 split, 80% of my time working from home now. And it's quite a vast service that we deliver, and I'm finding that I'm managing to do everything that we need to be done. It needs to be done. Speak to the people we need to speak to, and do that successfully remotely. So it's working for me. It's helped me tremendously as well. Just being at home more as well with the kids as well. Especially there was some homeschooling and stuff getting done recently. So things were particularly crazy at home for a while.
And so it's obviously benefited you having a big family and having that flexibility to be around a bit more with the kids. What about the rest of the team? Have you seen that be the case with other people in your team who've needed flexibility for other reasons?
Yeah, there's probably an obvious example would be my operations manager, Darren. Darren's, like myself, has also got a young family, and I know his wife the care sector and has sleepovers and various shift patterns that goes with her job. So he's also found childcare being an issue, obviously being really expensive as well. So when Darren spoke to me about this, I asked him to go back and have a wee look at what he thinks would work for him and take that pressure off him personally, and what does he think, what kind of impact could it have on City Building, the business. And he did that, to be fair, he did, and what he came back with was nothing crazy. I thought he might have come back with some really wacky ideas, but it was far from it. It was really quite simple. He just came back with starting his daily shift earlier, a couple of hours earlier, and his justification for what that brings to the business was to have more prep time for him when it's a quiet period to arrange things for that particular day. A lot of our clientele, sports centres and things like that, they open early, so it makes sense for somebody to be in early rather than the kind of standard core hours. So it worked, and it's still in place just now, and that's been well over a year now with Darren, and we feel no reason to change that at all.
Great. So it sounds like flexibility is definitely part of the future at City Building. It's here to stay, and it's something that, there are obviously great success stories like yourself and Darren. So thanks so much for sharing that with us today, Jason. Really appreciate your time.
No worries, thank you.
Jason, thanks for sharing all of this with us. You're in a traditional sector, but I love that you're bucking the trend and you're showing what's possible. A great story, which I hope will encourage and inspire others. And what a super organisation to work with. And I take my hat off to you. 5 kids. And finally, Geraldine caught up with with the lovely Marianne Craig, who works with ILF Scotland. This is a public sector body that has flexible working in its DNA, led from the top. Here's Marianne's story.
Hi, Marianne. Thanks for joining us for the launch of Flexibility Works. You work with the Independent Living Fund Scotland, an organisation that's always really supported their people to work flexibly.
Flexibility makes a huge difference to my life and the way I work. It means that I just have control over we talk about a work-life balance and work being part of your life, and so there's not really a balance to be had. We have control over how we manage our working lives, really.
And what about where you work? Do you typically have a balance of home and office, or working from other locations? What does that look like for you?
Well, at the moment, we're all working from home, but we actually, the COVID response was quite simple for us because we always had that flexibility to work in the office or at home, whichever suited what we had to do. Is just how we've always worked. So I now work all the time at home, but previously I was 2 days in the office and 2 days at home. I have Fridays off. And you know, there's all sorts of different working patterns. There really is just, you know, there's not a really one size fits all response.
And what about in terms of your home life, your personal life? How does it make a difference for you to have that level of flexibility?
It makes a huge difference because I can now be part of the community here. I can be part of my daughter's life. It's really helped my husband and I just to be able to manage everything, not even just children, but getting weekends away to see my mother-in-law in Aberdeen, things like that. It just means that we can manage our lives the way that we need to manage them. I've been able to get involved in the school, which I was never able to do previously. I've volunteered with their Pupil Voice scheme, and I've gone on school trips. I've got to know my neighbours. You know, it's really just very, very simple things like that. If you've got, you know, neighbours who are around and you're working from home and you go out with the dog and you just meet people and you can chat to them, and you've just got that flexibility to do it. So you can be part of your community. I get to go and pick my daughter up from school. I can spend a little bit of time with her, and then I can pick up work later on in the evening if that's what I need to do. So it's really like night and day before.
So great to hear about the impact that it has for you individually and also for your entire family. What about the role? Do you feel that it benefits your employer and, you know, your colleagues, your team, the people that you work with, being able to work flexibly?
It absolutely does. We have a very productive team in general, and I think that is hugely down to the fact that people are able to manage their own workloads. We have basically, for my own role, if we've got, you know, like a data issue that has to be dealt with, then I can deal with it really at any time and know that I have the flexibility to work that time back. But it also means that if you've got those moments where you're sitting trying to work something out and you're just staring at a screen, you have the opportunity to get up, go for a walk, you know, just sit down and stare at a wall, whatever works for you to get your brain going. And you know you're not panicking then, that you're that you've really got to get this piece of work done before 5, and then the clock stops and everybody goes home. That, you know, it's just a lot simpler to, you know, to be more productive, basically, because you're managing it yourself and you're not feeling like you're missing out on the things that you would like to do as well.
It certainly sounds the benefits are plentiful for you individually in terms of well-being and balance, and also for your employer. So thanks, Marianne. Great that you could share your story with us as part of the launch today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
What a lovely upbeat story about the power of flexible working. A really common sense approach showing that simple changes to where and when Marianne works have made such a big difference to so many aspects and quality of life. No wonder flexible working is so in demand these days for so many different reasons and for so many different people at all ages and stages of life. I really believe we've got a great opportunity to turn the tides and to help more employers make it happen and reap the benefits. I've just seen a glass of fizz appear out the corner of my eye, courtesy of my husband Kenny. I keep actually looking out the corner of my eye for my 3 boys and my dog. I'm surprised that they haven't photobombed us already. And Lisa, this nearly is the end of our launch event.
But we still have our final guest to come, Sir Tom Hunter, a successful business leader who is also committed to driving social change, in particular around addressing poverty in Scotland. We are incredibly lucky to have the support of Sir Tom and the Hunter Foundation. Tom's first business quite literally started from the back of a van and grew to become Europe's largest independent sports retailer, Sports Division. He sold the business in 1998 for 290 million, going on to establish his private equity business and philanthropic organisation, the Hunter Foundation. So over to you, Sir Tom, and thank you so much.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and I hope you've had a great day. Flexibility works. The Hunter Foundation came across Nikki, and we absolutely love what she and her partners are trying to do. I think the whole thing about work and the flexibility of work has been turned on its head during this COVID crisis. I know I was someone who used to go to the office 9 till 5 and expected everybody else to do it. But now there's a different way, there's a better way. Better for business owners, better for employees. And I'm really, really keen that we all get behind Flexibility Works, because it will provide a better, fairer Scotland, and that's what all of us want. So good luck to Flexibility Works, good luck to all the businesses who are here today, and most of all, good luck in building a better, fairer Scotland.
A succinct message from Sir Tom to end on, and a wonderful reminder that we all have the opportunity to build a fairer Scotland. So I think it's safe to say that Flexibility Works is now well and truly launched. We have an ask for all of you now to help us build our presence in Scotland, because we want as many people to know about Flexibility Works and to know that we can help more people and more organisations benefit from flexible working. So please stay connected with us in whatever way works for you, through social media, by joining our mailing list, coming to our events and sharing your flexible stories with us. And our second ask for you, please can we ask you to spread the word that Flexibility Works is here to help practically employers build flexible workplaces. We not only have vast knowledge, but also a great range of products and services for employers, and some are free of charge. So please share the word. We really hope you've enjoyed your afternoon. We're so incredibly grateful to you all for joining us. Have a lovely evening, and cheers.